35 million to 700 million in revenue, 25 hours, I'd say, a week. We're close to $1 million. And I looked her dead in the eye and said, when I'm dead. My name is Jeff Schulmeister. I'm the owner of Speed Clean Coin Laundry, LLC. This is the first of many stores we hope to open in the near future. We're also hoping to get involved in commercial laundry as well. How I got started in the business is somewhat of a convoluted story. I was looking for something to do other than just my regular job as a software developer. I came across a guy by the name of Dan Pena. He teaches how to do mergers and acquisitions by companies. And he's a Sir Knight over in, he lives in Scotland. He has a castle, Guthrie Castle. And I went over there for a week-long seminar at his castle, stayed in his castle, and actually got to meet and talk with the guy personally one-on-one. He's quite a character, talks like a drunken sailor, but he has a lifetime of teaching people how to do mergers and acquisitions. And that was my initial thing, is I was gonna come back and get involved in the coin laundry industry because it was ripe for roll-up. There's like 95% mom and pop, and most of them aren't run very well. And so I was looking to take over that industry and grow it. And because of the new technology where all the coins can be tracked electronically on the machines, you can own many stores because now you can contract out people to collect the money, and you know how much you should have, whereas before you couldn't trust anybody, you had to do it all yourself. So that limited the number of stores you could own. So that was the industry I was looking at. When I came back from that seminar, I found that most of them weren't for sale. The ones that were making money, people weren't willing to sell because they were, cash cow. And the ones that you could find for sale weren't worth owning. And so I decided I was going to build my own, which was against everything that Dan Pena taught. He would call it self-sabotage, but it was a learning curve for me. I think it was necessary for me to get the self-confidence, starting up a business and running a business and growing it from scratch. You learn a lot. It changes your character. That's how I got started, pretty much. Fortunately, I was prepared for long haul because it takes a while to build up from new until word gets out. Right now, we're doing well. It's been just over a year. It was a year last June. We're at the point now where we're no longer bleeding cash. So that's a good place to be. Normally it takes 3 or more years for a laundromat to get to that point if it's brand new. But I was very fortunate to make some right marketing decisions. I made some bad decisions at first. It cost some money, but it was a learning curve, and that's how I got this started. We're planning on opening more. I'm in talks right now to buy a commercial laundry that does hospitals, and we're looking to grow through acquisitions. Through the Dan Pena model, and we're going to take it from there. My goal is to have at least 10 laundromats in every state. I'm looking to own the commercial laundries. I'm looking to buy some of the big ones. They go anywhere from 35 million to 700 million in revenue, and so the money's really there in the commercial hospital linen service industry. So that's where I'm looking to take this in the future.
Can you talk about the main investment you had to get this spot, and how do you know how many machines you need, and what does that look like?
This spot kind of picked us. Basically, with the laundry, if you're going to open a new one, they have vendors that deal with the manufacturers that do the installation and service. And we went with Wash Mechanical by the guy named Tom Meisner. He's their sales guy. Great guy. He helped me out a lot. It's very important to get the right manufacturer's rep, because they'll help you. They'll tell you how many machines you should have based on demographics. They'll run the demographics profiles for you, and they'll tell you how to lay out your store the best way. I was fortunate that Tom also introduced me to a contractor that builds the laundromats, because I was going to general contractors and I was getting prices that were like so outrageous. There was no way I would be able to build. I mean, they were just giving me these prices because they were so busy. They just said, well, I'll just throw out a ridiculous number, and if he takes it, well, hey, good for me. Otherwise, I don't need the business. So I found this contractor, and this contractor built like 32 laundromats, and he owned 4 of them. He just recently sold them. He retired. And so he knew all about the business inside and out, as both an operator and as somebody who builds them. And he provided me, and I'm still on really good terms as a friend. We talk every so often, even though he's retired. And he helped me out a lot. Wash Mechanical helped me out a lot. But how I found this spot is when I was going around looking for laundromats to buy, there was one that I found up on Mound Road is Suds. I knew it was the right location based on demographics, and so I offered to buy it. And when the owner said, well, no, it's not for sale, but we have a property down in Warren, and we're looking to put a laundromat in there. I'm too busy. I can't own another laundromat. My wife would kill me because I'd never be home. So, because him and his father owns a bunch of strip malls and restaurants and the Coin Laundry, and so they're real busy as it is. So they were looking for somebody that could put a Coin Laundry in this location. So, like I said, the location kind of found me. And when we ran the demographics, they were really good. So that's how I ended up at this spot. Now, regarding costs, initially I was going to go with a small business loan, SBA, and I decided against that because the manufacturer was willing to finance the equipment 100%. So I had no money down. That's more money I had available for working capital to put into the build out, putting up the drywall and the drop ceiling and everything. All that costs a lot of money. Altogether, to build out this laundromat, we're close to $1 million. They're not. People don't realize how expensive they are to build. I got in at the right time because I got in right before COVID. I locked in the price on the equipment. After inflation started kicking in, the prices went up like 40-50%. So I was locked in at that price, so I was very fortunate. And right now, if somebody wanted to replace their equipment or build out a new store, it would cost them a lot more. That's pretty much what it costs to build one in, and I put a lot of time in myself. People tell you that this industry is passive, semi-passive. Don't believe it. I put a lot of time in here, and I still continue to put a lot of time. Less than I have been, but still a lot of time.
You said it's not as passive as it seems. What does your day-to-day look like when you first started to now?
When I first started, I was basically the attendant. I had hired one other person, and then I found another person, so we had 3 people, and I was probably here almost every day of the week. During the build-out, I was here every day, just to see how the build-out was going, make sure everything was going good, and if they had any questions about what I wanted, I was there for them. So during the build-out, I was here pretty much all the time. Afterwards, I was probably spending 4 or 5 days a week. After I got some reliable people that I could trust with the key and to open and close for me, I was here maybe 2 or 3 days a week for probably 8 hours at a time. Just either running a shift that I didn't have covered, or just emptying coins, checking on things, going and buying inventory and stock to bring in, like the detergents we sell and stuff like that. So right now, I'm probably spending a lot less time here, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. I still operate 2 of the shifts, so I'm usually here at least 25 hours, I'd say, a week.
What do you do for your advertising? How do you bring people in? How do you differentiate from another laundromat?
Basically, I tried several things. I tried, the big thing was the big signs in the windows so people know you're here right away. It's been a year and a half, so I've taken them down. I had signs out by the street, and it was a battle with the city saying, well, you can't have that, you have to get a permit, so I got a permit. And then they said, well, it has to be behind the sidewalk. Well, we have trees out front. If it's behind the sidewalk, nobody's gonna see it. And so it was an ongoing battle, but the city worked with me a little bit, and I was able to do that. And then I tried geofencing, where they fence off areas, like if there are people that go into another laundromat near you, or stores like Dollar Tree or Dollar Town, where that would be your customer demographic. They would fence off that area. If they see their phone go in there, they would send an ad to them for your laundromat. And then I thought, well, that's great because that's so targeted. But it was very expensive, very expensive. And then I realized with the Google advertising, even though it's just a large area, you just fence off a large area, so many miles from your store, you only pay if they call you or if they go to your website. So I'm like, well, yeah, it's not targeted, but you're still only paying for the people who are likely to come to your store. So, and it was much cheaper. It was like 25% of the cost. So we went with that route, and that really helped out. And then getting the reviews, we're very customer focused. When somebody has an issue, I tell my attendants, don't question it. Take care of them, make them happy, because even if it costs us several bucks, even if we lose money, they'll be happy, they'll come back, they'll tell other people about what we did for them, so word of mouth will spread and we'll get more business. So it's all a focus on the customer. And so word of mouth is a big thing for laundromats.
What are some of the main expenses that come with a laundromat?
Well, basically, as far as expenses go, we resell utilities. That's basically what we do, electric, gas, and water. But the biggest expense is finance on the equipment and the lease on the building. And then third would be employee payroll. Those would be our three biggest expenses. As far as the utilities go, other than having the lights on, as far as the washers and dryers, the water and gas, you're only really paying for those when you're making money, other than, the small amount of electricity the lights take. We have all LED lighting, so it's very efficient. So the biggest cost, like I said, is finance on the equipment, the lease, and employee payroll. Other than that, there's really not much that costs as much. We buy inventory, but we sell that inventory at a profit, so that's not really an expense.
What are some of the biggest positives and biggest negatives to owning a laundromat?
Like any business where you have a customer interface, sometimes you have to deal with customers that are unreasonable. And that's why I say we're customer focused. Take care of them, make them happy, even if they don't come back. So, sometimes there's that. The biggest issues is making sure you have all your licensing. There's a learning curve. The equipment is considered actually a part of the property and you pay property taxes on it unless you file a specific form. So there are a lot of forms, a lot of regulations and forms that you have to fill out that you don't realize you're going to need. So there was a lot of that. There was a learning curve. The hardest thing about running it was really finding good people. Finding an attendant that's cheerful, helpful, and willing to clean. Constantly. Finding a neatness freak is probably the best employee you could have here because it bothers them when something's dirty. Because it's the biggest thing of a laundromat, it's got to be clean. That's the biggest problem most laundromats have. They don't clean. You'll see their attendants sitting there not doing anything all day, and they think they're just there to answer questions if there's a problem. But which is why I don't typically hire people who have worked in other laundromats. I want to have somebody that aren't already set in their ways, somebody that I can train and show and start off right instead of trying to re-educate them.
What does the future look like? How do you plan on expanding?
My main goal, I want to change the image of the laundromat. The laundromat has always had this image of being this dingy place you have to go to, that's dirty, seedy, underworld place is the kind of the image you get. Well, I wanted to make it look more like a McDonald's, like a franchise where you come in and it's clean. Everything's in the right order. You have room to move around. You can see we have 9-10 foot aisleways. Most of these laundromats the aisleways are so tight. If somebody's opening a door to put something in, you can't get by. So I wanted, especially post-COVID, I wanted to have big aisleways. I wanted to have all the furniture matching, which a lot of laundromats, they just have stuff they had in their garage that they throw in there. So I wanted it to look more professional and like a franchise. So when people come in, they feel that it's bright, it's clean, and it's a place they don't mind going to do their laundry.
I saw that you guys have the vending machines and you have the detergents in the office. Is that something that you guys own and sell, or is that something that comes into your added on revenues and stuff like that?
So we wanted to focus on our core business, which was the laundromat. I wanted my attendants cleaning the machines and the equipment, not stocking a machine. So we outsource that. We subcontract to a guy. He brought in the machines. This way, the machines, to buy a machine, one machine is about $10,000. So we would have had to invest $20,000 into a machine, and then we'd have to buy the stock and inventory, keep it here, and constantly refill the machines. And that's for $200 or $300 a week in revenue. And I was like, outsource it, let somebody else deal with the headaches. When it gets low, we can make a phone call. If there's a problem, we can make a phone call. We don't have to deal with it. I'd rather have them focus on our core business, which is keeping the place clean and operating. So I outsource that. Now, the reason the detergents aren't in a vending machine is because you need special vending machine for that. And so we would have had to buy our own because this guy just deals in concessions. And most of them do, because it's very specialized for laundry detergent and stuff. And so we just decided we're just gonna put them on a shelf and sell it there, rather than spend 10 grand on a machine that would take us a long time to get that money back.
And then I saw that you guys have that QR code. What percentage do you think use that QR code versus the coin?
Right now, it varies from week to week, but it's usually between 15 to 25%. Actually, some weeks lately it's been 30%. So it's on the rise. The nice thing about the QR code is you get loyalty points, so you can get money, loyalty money to apply towards other washes and dries and get free washes and dries. So there is that. The number one rule of business that most entrepreneurs don't consider is, and to me, it's the number one rule of business, is never make it difficult for someone to give you their money. I can't tell you the number of businesses that make it difficult and make you to make you do business with them. So we don't have credit card readers on our machine, but I had a couple of people come in that said they want to use their credit card. They don't have cash. So what I did is I used my Square register. I have them charge it. I set up a thing where we can charge for if they're using a 20 pounder, a 45 pounder, or an 80 pounder, and it charges that amount. And then with our phone app through the QR code, we can start it for them remotely. And so this way, and the Square will take everything from Apple Pay. I haven't run across anything that thing hasn't taken yet. So Square Register is really good. That's the biggest thing. And then on Tuesdays, we have free dry. So we use the QR codes. We have phone apps. All our attendants have the rights to start the machine, so they'll start the dryers for them, as opposed to just making it free. Because the problem with making it free for the day, as opposed to having a customer take their stuff out of the washer and put it in, is you'll have people who come in, they're only going to dry. They've washed their clothes and they're only going to dry, and they see free dry day and they'll just throw it in and they'll start it. And so at least we have some control over it this way. It's like if they haven't washed here, they don't get a free dry.
With a laundromat, what is something that you can expect to make maybe monthly or yearly? Like, how does that look like over time?
Well, expenses vary based on the size of your property, the lease rates, the water costs for the city. So I can only talk gross revenue. It would be pretty generic. If the demographics are right, you're in a good location, even with competition, you could probably look to make $8,000 a week in gross revenue pretty easily. A smaller laundromat or one in an area that doesn't have as good demographics, you might expect anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000 a week in gross revenue. You can do more. There's a guy that does wash, dry, fold, pick up and drop off. Most laundromats only have a range of about 3 miles where most of their customers are. By doing the pick up and drop off, he's extending his range to 40 miles. And he does $3 million a year in gross revenue off one store. And he really doesn't count on people coming into the store. Most of his revenue is all in the pick up and drop off. And we're looking to do that as well.
Do you have 3 tips of advice for any other entrepreneurs out there?
Don't listen to the naysayers, even if they're people who are real close to you. I'll tell you a story. When we were going and we were bleeding cash here before we were, in a good spot and it was looking really dicey, my wife asked me, she goes, "When are you going to give up? When are we going to cut our losses? It's not going to work. When are we going to cut our losses? We could be investing that money." And I turned to her and I looked her dead in the eye and said, "When I'm dead. When I'm dead, that's when I'm gonna stop." And she didn't like that. But 2 months later, we broke even. Okay, so don't give up on your dreams. Don't listen to the naysayers. If somebody tells you can't do it, look at what they've done and ask yourself, have they done anything like this? Why take advice from people who aren't where you want to be? Talk to people who are already successful. Tell them what you want to do. Ask them for advice. They'd be more than happy to give it to you. They're not going to tell you can't do it. They're going to cheer you on. And those are the people you need to talk to and surround yourself with. Your friends that you go to the bar with or whatever, I hate to say this, get rid of them. You are who your friends are. And you want to find people who are successful and surround yourself with them, because then you'll be successful. If somebody tells you it can't be done, it's only because they can't do it and they don't want to see you do it, because then it reminds them of their own inadequacies. It's because they're unwilling to make the sacrifices. And there are sacrifices. You're going to sacrifice family time. You're going to sacrifice leisure time to get the business off the ground. But the beauty of it is once the business is growing and you have a team in place that can operate it for you that you trust, now you're making money while you sleep. And that's the key. I could be at home right now and the place is making money for me. And then the more you get, the better off you'll be. So don't listen to the naysayers. That's the biggest thing I could tell you. If you have a dream, go for it. Plan. Research. What I would do is I would actually look at Dan Pena. I would buy an existing business before I'd start a new one, because they're already profitable. They've already gone through the growing pains, and that's what I would do in the future, and that's what I'm doing right now with this commercial laundry. If you're gonna do anything in business, be it start new or buy an existing business, the number one thing that you're gonna need more than anything else is self-confidence. You have to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing when other people aren't, when people are making fun of you, when you doubt your skills or you have no knowledge of the industry you're in. That would be my thing is self-confidence. Believe in yourself no matter what.